Hello everyone, I've come back to you with the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita. Last time I had spoken to you from chapter 6, shlok 1 to shlok 9, and then I took a break. And thank you for waiting, thank you for those lovely messages that you have sent, and I'm so encouraged with all of it. So I've come to you with shlok 10 to shlok 14, in fact shlok 15 also, yes. On chapter 6. Now, if you look at shlok 1 to 9, it talked about balance and it talked about non-judgment. Sri Bhagwan says in shlok 9 that Surin mitrare udasina madhyastha dvesha bandhushu sadhushvapi cha papeshu samabuddhir vishishyate, which basically says that somewhere you need to have a balance. You need to judge people equally, or you need to be absolutely non-judgmental, which, let me further elaborate. Sometimes what happens is we get too overwhelmed, we get too overawed by a personality, we get intimidated by a personality, and then what happens is, even if that personality is talking rubbish, and even if the personality concerned is completely talking total nonsense, you're so overawed and you're so overwhelmed, you start believing in that. Sometimes what happens, you don't like someone, sometimes you don't like a particular person, even if that person is talking sense, you completely negate the opinions. So here basically this shlok talks about trusting yourself, trusting your own instinct. Go beyond that personality and trust what you as a person think. You, in terms of your instinct, in terms of your feeling, in terms of your reason, in terms of your judgment, what you feel. This was till shlok 1 to shlok 9. Shlok 10 goes on a different path altogether. It talks about who's a yogi. And who is a yogi? According to me, yoga means being connected with whoever, whatever you think you need to be connected to. If you think you need to be seriously connected to God, then so be it. If you think you need to be seriously connected with your own thoughts, so be it. If you think you need to be seriously connected with the deeper knowledge of the earth, so be it. But yogi is someone who is connected. And this particular shlok, it's a beautiful shlok. It talks about, let me recite this and then let me explain the meaning to you. Yogi yunjita satatam atmanam rahasi sthita ekaki yata chittatma nirashira parigraha. That a yogi is someone who is still and who is someone who is in a constant state of meditation. And when that yogi is in a constant state of meditation, then he is liberated. Now, let's decode it, let's break it. A constant state of meditation, okay? What is meditation? Meditation is awareness, a deeper knowledge of the self, most importantly the self, and how the self is connected to the external world and to the higher world, or to the deeper self. So if a yogi is in a constant state of meditation, which is a deeper knowledge, then a yogi becomes liberated. Now, liberated from what? So if you're seeing the apparent meaning, then it will talk about liberation from worldly desires and so on and so forth. But I think let's go one step beyond that. The deepest meditation is the awareness or the knowledge of acceptance of what is, and not what could be, or not what can be. And the deepest knowledge is also of everything is temporary. If everything is temporary, then a yogi becomes liberated from holding on to anything, from holding on to possessions, from holding on to people, like from being possessive, which a lot of people think that it's a great thing, but the true liberation happens when you love a person. And it's just the day after Valentine's Day, I have to talk about love. So the true liberation happens when you love a person, you love anyone without thinking that that person is my property. So liberation from feeling possessiveness, because nothing is permanent. You and I, no one is permanent. And then the shlok says that how should a yogi meditate? It says that you find a place which is not very high, natyuchritam nati nicham, which is neither high nor low, and which can be a grass mattress, or even they talk about a deer skin or a cush mattress, anything, and you need to be still, and that place has to be very clean. Wherever you're meditating, it talks about the place where and how you need to meditate. Not how. How is what I will be telling you now. After that, it talks about how you should meditate. And it goes like this. First, again, let me tell you the shlok and then I'll tell you. Because this has helped me in a very big way. Tatraikagram mana kritva yata chittendriya kriya upavishasane yunjad yogamatma vishuddhaye samam kaya shiro grivam dharayaccha lansthira samprekshanasikaagram dishaschanavalokayan, which says that first of all, tatraikagram manakrit, first of all, concentrate, of course, get your energy together. And then they say, Bhagavan says, not they say, Shri Bhagavan, it is all from what Bhagavan is saying, and I constantly keep on saying that Shri Bhagavan is not, it goes beyond Krishna and Arjun, it's the God who's talking. God can be yourself too, your inner self too. God can be any God you believe in. God can be your Mother Earth, God can be the trees, the nature, anybody. So Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha, I love when they say this. So I constantly repeat it. So here it says that, but Shri Bhagavan says that you get together, you get your energy together, and then sit on a place absolutely still. Okay? Don't move, and then focus on the tip of your nose without looking around. You can try it right now. Without looking around, focus on the tip of your nose. Just look at the tip of your nose and you get yourself back. Believe me, I have tried this. I, as a person, I have attention deficit, and because I have attention deficit, concentration becomes a very, very, very big thing for me. My mind just flies from one place to another, and it's quite crazy. And people who suffer from this attention problem, they know what I'm talking about. I have done this and it's amazing. I mean, even learning my lines has become easy. So try this, it is really, really wonderful. So this is what my favorite shlok this is, because it has actually helped me practically, really. And then again, another shlok which I feel I will end with that shlok. The next shlok says, Prashantatma Vigita Bhir Brahmachari Vrate Sthira Manasammamya Matchitto Yukta Asita Matpara, where Shri Bhagavan says that you meditate, of course, like you focus, you focus on the tip of your nose, you meditate, you don't, and then Shri Bhagavan says that you become calm, Prashant Atma, and you follow brahmacharita. You follow brahmacharya. Now, when they talk about, I was reading everywhere they are talking about, a lot of people are saying that the moment they are talking about brahmachari vrate sthira, it is about celibacy. It is about stopping yourself from all kind of sexual activities. But I have a small question here. Shri Bhagavan is telling Arjun is a complete grihi. Shri Bhagavan is also coaching him how to become a yogi. Obviously, he is not telling him to follow a life of celibacy. Brahmachari also means a learner, someone who is in the constant state of learning. So if we go beyond celibacy and we think that a person who is in a constant state of learning finds God, doesn't it make sense? So the soul or the self can find what the inner self really wants if one is in a constant state of learning. Make sense? Great. I will be coming to you with, I'll be much more regular now. I'll try to come with the shlokas every Saturday. I'll try to also come with Mahabharata stories every Sunday. In fact, I was thinking of doing maybe one of the women in Mahabharata. Yeah. So I'll see you and bye.